Good day to you again. Bill Pfeiffer speaking. So good to be with you. The important thing is that you bring both your intellect, your head, and your heart, and that I do the same, that I come with something that feeds both your head and your heart. Otherwise, we're kind of wasting each other's time, and there's no value in that. This is a little story that I just love. It's just simply entitled "The Lesson," and it has a lot to say to us. Then Jesus took his disciples up the mountain and gathered around him. He taught them, saying, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, the reign of God is theirs. Blessed are they that mourn, they shall be consoled. Blessed are they who show mercy, mercy shall be theirs. Blessed are the single-hearted, for they shall see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, they shall be called sons of God." Isn't it something? I'm just going back now. That single-hearted, some say to be a saint is to will one thing, to be able to will one thing, be single-hearted, simple-hearted, and then you can see God. There's a great story told. Let me stop at this moment for I just recall a story told about a priest who went to India for 3 or 4 months to see what he could find out about the spiritual life there. And he ended up in a cave with a man who had spent most of his life there in total silence. And the traveler asked, "Have you ever seen God?" And he said, "About 3 times. And he said, "What is it that makes us be able to see God and helps you to, why did you see God?" And the man said, "Purity of heart." And there it is in the Beatitudes. Blessed are the single-hearted, the pure of heart, for they shall see God. Isn't that a nice thing? Gorgeous. Blessed are the peacemakers, they shall be called sons of God. Blessed are those persecuted for holiness' sake, the reign of God is theirs. Be glad and rejoice, your reward is great in heaven. Remember what I am telling you." Then Simon Peter said, "Do we have to write this down?" And Andrew said, "Are we supposed to know this?" Philip asked, "Will we have a test on this?" Bartholomew wanted to know, "Do we have to turn this in?" And John said, "The other disciples didn't have to learn this. Why do we have to?" And Matthew said, "When do we get out of here?" Sounds like kids in my class, huh? Judas said, "What does this have to do with real life?" One of the Pharisees who was present asked to see Jesus' lesson plan, his class objectives, and whether he was using higher order thinking skills, as well as his modeling and class closure. If this had happened, they missed the whole point, didn't they? They missed the whole point of Jesus' message, It's just like the stories that I tell. It's really important that they not just be vanilla, that it just not be something like eating ice cream. Somewhere along the line, there has to be meat and potatoes. And for you who watch, you want to be able to provide your own meal of meat and potatoes by asking the questions, what does this mean to me? What does this story tell me about me? Why am I in this story? Am I in this story? And in what way? What does this story ask of me? What am I going to do about it? And see if, you end up having something of real value, something that really changes your heart and brings you to act in a way that's a little bit different before you heard that story. I want to tell you a true story at this point. Goes back about, maybe 25, probably 30, 35 years. We were in our station wagon coming back from ShopRite. We had just done our shopping, and the car was filled with the 6 kids and a lot of groceries. And we came to a stoplight, and we were really far back from the stoplight. So it was one of those lines that where you keep edging a little bit forward as the cars ahead of you move. And the rain was coming down truly in cats and dogs. You could the windshield wiper wasn't moving it at all. It was so heavy that you could hardly see in front of you. In fact, you had to really watch that you didn't hit the car in front of you. And alongside of our car, for about 30 or 40 yards of this edging forward, was this street person, an elderly man, maybe in his 40s, 50s, I'm not sure what. But at any rate, he kept walking along, and he was getting drenched. And in the front seat, when we had come out of ShopRite, the store, was an umbrella. And Cindy, my wife, picked up that umbrella, opened the door, went out, opened the umbrella up for the man, gave it to him, came back in the car, shut the door, and we moved on. Not a word was spoken. But that day, I think, my 6 children, in watching that action, and I know for me, sitting next to Cindy, there's one of our children between us, I learned something. You know, whenever I tell this story in school, I teach the students a Latin expression, bis dat qui cito dat. She gives twice who gives quickly. Isn't that a nice story? Bis dat qui cito dat. She gives twice, or he gives twice, who gives quickly. And then I tell this story, which really illustrates that to a T. And it's the same with all of the stories that I tell. I don't, again, want it to be just like eating ice cream. But what does this mean to me? Is there something that should happen in my life when this is over that I could be different? Like, for example, that whole section of the scriptures on the Beatitudes. Maybe for the next week, I could go to Matthew 5 and read each of those Beatitudes every day and ask whether or not, how come I don't see God? You know, where's my single-heartedness? Where's my purity of heart? And so that things are happening inside of us at all times that help us to grow as individuals and in our relationship with the Lord and with each other. Then we're not really wasting each other's time, but that something good is happening, not just stories that help us fill our hearts and make us feel good, but in fact lead us to something that causes a genuine change in our lives, and therefore transform lives, transform people, and therefore you can touch other people's lives each time that you come into theirs. Happiness tomorrow always begins by doing the truth today. And maybe it's the Beatitudes today. That New Testament, the Old Testament was filled with the 10 Commandments. The New Commandments in many ways, and in not many ways, in all ways, are really the Beatitudes. Matthew chapter 5, it'll do your heart some real good. Do have a nice day. You're in my prayers and thoughts always. Please keep me in yours. God bless.